Hello guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be going over more PSA 10 slabs that I think are personally underrated and maybe worth buying. Now, as always guys, please buy whatever you like when it comes to singles. Don't buy cards that you don't think look cool and you're just buying them as an investment. That's just not fun, you know? Like, I would say pick some cards that you think both have good fundamentals and they will probably go up in the future, and also pick cards that you enjoy. So you actually just like having it in your collection. Maybe you just keep it there. It's sometimes, it's fun to look at it every now and then. And maybe in 2 to 3 years, it'll have done well. My first pick is Empoleon V from Battle Styles. I think Battle Styles is still pretty underrated. It's much better than a lot of other sets like Rebel Trash, Sword and Shield Base. It has more going for it. I think it was printed pretty heavily, so, that kind of ruined Battle Styles, but I'm gonna be honest, it's one of the most cost-effective boxes to open right now because it's so cheap, and there's actually good chases. Like, I ripped open a Battle Styles booster box the other day just because, like, I enjoy, ripping stuff, and I don't really want to pay the current market prices for things, and Battle Styles is one of the cheapest stuff. You can get cool alt arts. I got both Urshifu VMAXs, and that was sick. I think if I pulled the Empoleon V, I would probably be feeling even better because this card is pretty nice. Should you buy Battlestyle booster boxes? Perhaps it might not grow as well as other things, but I think this Empoleon V might be a contributing factor if it does grow. Let's move on to Celebi from Fusion Strike. I think this is a really underrated card. $250, not bad at all, not bad. I would definitely be picking this up. Fusion Strike boxes, obviously extremely hard to find now, and they are much more expensive because everyone's probably just storing them away at this point. Like, I don't think anyone really wants to sell their Fusion Strike, and I think the hits were stolen from Fusion Strike, so maybe that makes the hit rate harder, or whatever, I don't know, but I think the Celebi is pretty underrated. Celebi is like a fan favorite card, very, very cute what they're doing here, healing some plants. It's nice. It's nice. I like it. Next, we have a Brilliant Stars card, $160 for this Mimikyu V PSA 10. I mean, Mimikyu is just my favorite Pokemon, so I would definitely gravitate towards this, but I think it's a pretty popular Pokemon in general, and if they ever end up doing something related to Sun and Moon, you know that Acerola Mimikyu cards are going to be coming back in a big way. If you like Mimikyu like me, then I think this is a great choice. It's a very cute Pokemon. I love, like they're watching a horror movie together or something, like Acerola's in the background. It's a fun card. It's a good trainer gallery. For only $160, not bad, honestly, not bad. I might pick one of these up myself. If we look at the price graph, it definitely jumped up recently. It used to be only around $63, so maybe it'll come back crashing down, but I think people appreciate this card. I think people like it. Same with the Cynthia's Garchomp, or not Cynthia's Garchomp, I guess it's just Garchomp V Trainer Gallery. It rose to a pretty high of like 300, but again, when things jump up a lot, people then see it on their shelves and then they want to sell it, and that always brings the price down. So I think now is a pretty safe time to buy if you want to get into this card. It's dipped. It looks like it's kind of hit a bit of a support because it's going back up, so I would probably be picking up a Garchomp V if you like it. Very not similar to the Destined Rivals one, it's got the same two pairs, but it's a very like serene card. And then next we have another Brilliant Stars classic, the chase card from the set actually, which is the Charizard. And for me, I'm surprised that it's so cheap still. It's only like $480. Looks like last sold for $550, but you could probably get it at a card show for like $5. Maybe even in the high 400s. I think this is a great chase card for Brilliant Stars. I think it's extremely fun. Like this, I don't know why his Venusaur is always the one dueling people, but he's having a good time. I love like the action POV that's going on here. Like the vines are a little bit blurred. There's flames kind of kicking up sparks behind. It's very cinematic, very, very cool card. Would definitely be grabbing this at less than $500. Not a bad cop at all. Next we have Giratina V-Star from Crown Zenith. These are the chase cards from Crown Zenith. I think specifically the Giratina is the most expensive one, but I mean, yeah, this looks absolutely amazing. It hit a high of 540, and it really crashed back down to like around the 330s, 300. Personally, I just graded one as a 10. I was gonna sell it, but I think I'm gonna hold on to it because Crown Zenith singles I really do believe in for the long term. I think they look amazing, and especially this, like, if you don't know, this connects to 4 different arts. And so that's why I also had to include, of course, the Arceus V-Star. PSA 10, only around 200, not a bad price at all. I think Arceus is one of the coolest Pokemon. Plus, this background is, like, Akira Agawa is just one of the best artists, um, you know, in the TCG right now. He makes so many good cards. I think I'm gonna start an Agawa collection, if I'm being completely honest. I just want to. I love his art style. Um, but yeah, just absolutely insane stuff. And of course, if you're gonna get the Arceus and Giratina, you might as well get the Dialga and Palkia, right? Well, you guys gotta get all of them. But anyway, speaking of more Crown Zenith, Mewtwo V Star. This one hit a high of 320, and it's in the 270s, so it pumped up a bit, but it didn't really like um, go back down a ton, honestly. Like it remained pretty dip free, and I think that's because there's a lot of genuine demand for this card. The population of Mewtwo is insanely high, and it's pretty easy to gem and 10 this. I did it myself, and I think I'm gonna actually keep buying more ungraded copies because most of the copies of this Mewtwo V-Star are in really good condition. So not a bad grading play either, but yeah, I think this is a good hold, especially it's not that expensive and it looks absolutely stunning. The Charizard version of this is extremely expensive in a PSA 10 because it was a promo, and the promo was just like miscut and misaligned a ton. It was horrible. But yeah, this Mewtwo completes that card amazingly. The Charizard I think is a bit above the budget of this video. But yeah, the Mewtwo V-Star is absolutely amazing. Like, there's so much going on here. You got the Tangrowth in the background, the Stunfisk in the bottom right corner. So much fun stuff is going on. He's charging up the Kamehameha. If you're curious, the Charizard, I think it honestly looks cooler than the Mewtwo because I like the art style a little more. But the PSA 10 for this is extremely expensive. I think that happened pretty recently. And now let's move on to some 151 slabs. I think the most obvious, the Blastoise from 151. Yes, it has an insanely high population. Yes, 151 has been ripped into the ground, and there's so many singles of this floating around. I still think, the original 151 and just 151 being an iconic set, I think getting these starters is just a no-brainer, really. The Charizard, I think, is at like 700, and it has 60,000 graded copies in a 10, if I remember correctly, which is absolutely nuts if you think about that. The market cap for that Charizard is insane. And if you want to get a better Charizard, in my eyes, I would actually go for the Paldean Fate Charizard. Now, the real reason I didn't include the 151 Charizard is because it is, above the price range of this video, but I still think the Paldean Fates has room to grow. Paldean Fates is getting very expensive as a set. It reached a top of 550. Now it's down to 450. I think I'm going to be picking up at least one of these soon. And if not, try and find an ungraded copy that could be a 10 contender. But more and more these days, I'm not really finding great cards out in the wild. I think people have caught on to the idea of grading, and they're just buying up all the best singles. Obviously, it's not impossible to find them. I've still found them, but I have to be very strict about the cards I'm finding. And I would love to find this Charizard, but if I can't, I'm probably just going to settle and get the slab, because, like, honestly, it's such a sick card. Again, Akira Egawa. And I think he also made the Obsidian Flames Charizard. But honestly, I'm more of a fan of this, if I'm being honest. I think he looks much better in black. But yeah, let's move on to Ghastly in Temporal Forces. The raw copy, pretty inexpensive, but in a PSA 10, extremely expensive. And I think this Ghastly is a really fun card. Like, someone told me that the Gengar is kind of licking his behind, and now I can't unsee it, but I still think it's really fun. You got Haunter and Ghastly and Gengar all in one card. Really, really fun idea. And Temporal Forces is, it has a lot of illustration rares, I think. So getting the Ghastly itself is not the easiest, but then getting the PSA 10 is pretty hard. I think Temporal Forces might not have the best printing quality, if I remember correctly. As you can see, around 4,000 in a 10 and around 6K in a 9. So I would say probably around a 50% gem rate. This is one of the harder ones to gem. I think if you can get it for a good discount, like around 200, definitely worth a buy. After seeing what Magikarp has done, I do think illustration rares can actually be great chase cards because they tend to be harder to grade. And people don't really seem to care about the texture as much as I do. I'm a big texture guy, so I'm not the biggest fan of illustration rares. There's a few exceptions, obviously, but like I think this one might be one of them, right? Recently, I actually had this, and I bought at the top. And this happens with singles. This is why I say buy the singles you like, because I bought at the top, and I saw it crash, so I panic sold. I don't know. I moved this Ghastly into more cards to grade. And honestly, if I just held on to it, I think it would have done fine. I think it honestly might come back up to 300 or even surpass that previous card. I do believe in the card, but I just panic sold, right? And I would say in general, try not to panic sell your cards. And that's why I also say like buy cards you actually like. So if the price goes down, you don't care, and so you don't sell. All right, speaking of things that are harder to grade, let's talk about some promos that I really do believe in. I think this Charmander promo from the Obsidian Flames ETB is a great pickup. They're probably not going to be making too many more Obsidian Flames ETBs. Even if they do, I don't know if it's going to be a mass reprint like we will get with other sets. And so I do like this PSA 10 copy. I love it when they have cards like this where it feels like the Pokemon are alive, right? It's like my cats watch birds as well. And seeing this little like Charmander, who is probably the most popular Gen 1 starter, let's be honest, he's looking mad at those pigeons, and it's hilarious. Also, like the style is beautiful, and it matches well with the Stellar Crown illustration rares. Like it has so much going for it. And it's still decently cheap in a PSA 10, only 200. The population, pretty hard to gem mint this. Just going off of, or let's say we'll go for like, around 30,000. So that's around a 30% gem rate. I actually was able to get the PSA 10 when I submitted mine. It is not $1,200. I don't know why PSA is bugging like that. It's around 200 right now. And honestly, I think it's a pretty good pickup. Pretty low pop, hard gem rate. It's a really fun card. And if you're curious about the Pokemon Center version, well, the PC ETB, only 500 tens. That's a pretty low, both the gem rate and just population for a modern card. And so the price is going to reflect that. As you can see, it has jumped to absolutely insane heights. Do I think that this is going to crash? Probably, maybe. The Pokemon Center stamp, will it actually amount to anything? I don't know. I believe in Pokemon Center stamps. That's why I have a raw copy. And kind of continuing with Pokemon Center promos, and if you don't like Pokemon Center promos, you're not going to like the last suggestion I have, but at only $260 for the Ends Zorua Pokemon Center, promo. As we talked about, low pop is great. Really, really hard to gem mint this Ends Zorua. I think it's a very cute promo, like it's one of the better ones from the Pokemon Center stamped ETBs. Dude, the Reshiram and Zekrom ETBs, Black Bolt and White Flare, those promos are absolutely horrendous in terms of the Pokemon they chose. Thundurus and Tornadus, I think. Yeah, those stamped, I mean, it makes sense, but at the same time, I'm not a big fan of it. But this one I am a fan of. I think this is a great promo. Only around $250. If you can find it, you probably have to buy it on eBay. It looks like you can get it for around 200, 220-ish maybe, which I think is a pretty good price. And lastly, we got to talk about the Eevee Pokemon Center stamped promo. Now, with these promos, people don't really open their PC ETBs. A lot of people just keep them sealed because they see it as an investment. Let's, as we so for real. So finding these promos in general is just kind of hard. And again, $360 for a card of Eevee that only has a 3,000 pop. Now you might be saying, wait, that's an insane amount compared to the other PC ETBs. And yeah, that is also something to keep in mind. That's why I'm saying like Prismatic Evolutions is getting the massive reprint treatment. I mean, they are just reprinting it into the ground right now. Unfortunately, the demand is still too high for what they're pumping out. So, look, I think at some point, Pokemon is just going to keep reprinting Prismatic even when nobody wants it. Like, I do think we're going to get to somewhat of a similar situation to Shining Fates. Unfortunately, though, or maybe not unfortunately, but Prismatic Evolutions is a very different set. So people do still love to rip it, even if it gets reprinted like Shining Fates. So they're gonna have to print a lot. I don't know if we'll ever get to MSRP, but I think these promos might be a good pickup if the Pokemon Center doesn't reprint them again. But I think they still have the message up on their website. They still have the message up saying that more inventory of this product will become available later this year. So I think we are going to get more of them. So maybe hold on still. We could see the price of this drop even more. If another wave comes out, more people open them, grade them, etc. But I still think it's a pretty good one to keep your pulse on. Because I am a believer of Pokemon Center stamps. You guys know I'm pretty heavily invested into Pokemon Center ETBs. I have every single one. Finally completed the collection. Let me know if you guys want a video of just touring that. It feels so good to finally have all of them. And I think the mega ones are coming whenever the set releases in English. I was able to secure that drop. But I don't know. Let me know. What should I make videos on next? I also had a poll for 1K subscribers. Again, thank you guys so much. I did not expect to see this much love and support for less than 2 months, honestly. It's kind of crazy. But yeah, thank you guys so much. Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.